Welcome to Two Gents, where two seasoned gents take on the hard truths of life, success, and responsibility. In a world where the rules don't bend for us, these gents believe in doing the work, owning the struggle, and inspiring others to take action. So, pull up a chair.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Ron Spikes. As I always say, I'm one of the hosts on Two Gents podcast. And I get on here and I try to inform. And basically my goal is just to put out information, let you make your own decisions and work from there. You know, I did want to do this video, but the video that we have tomorrow, I want to really get into the subject matter. So this is kind of like a two-part series that I'm putting out right now. And it's going to touch on some stuff that's probably going to rub people the wrong way, but I'm not into rubbing people the wrong way. I like just telling people the truth. You can make your own decision based on that. You can base your own decision. Sometimes, you know, for a long time, I'm gonna do it like this. For a long time, I believe that when you went behind the ballot box and you voted, that everybody was on a level playing field, so to speak. When the candidates was out there, they was on a level playing field. They got an opportunity to come out and be on that level playing field where everybody's on the same level. When they start, you know, when you're at the beginning of the race, everybody lines up even. But I've learned in politics as I dig more into this, what's going on right now, as I dig more into it, I get upset and I calm down. I get upset and I calm down. And the real reason why I'm doing this show today is because I got a chance to look at some of my comments that was coming in behind the screen. And you'll be surprised where you get information from. You'll be surprised how that information comes to you. You'll be surprised how many people, how they can manipulate, how they can change the outcourse of people just going to the ballot box to vote. I'm not talking about getting the numbers of the computers. I'm not talking about any numbers, because if you want to know the numbers, you can go out there and get the numbers from any other person that's putting out anything about politics right now, especially coming out of Texas, Louisiana, and Oklahoma. And some people are upset even further than that on the outcome of what's going on. But they're looking at numbers and they're expecting the numbers to explain the story of what's going on. Numbers don't always tell a story. You can look at them and say, yeah, she lost. But you have to look at different stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Now, this election right here, it was totally different than any other election I've seen run. And I said this, and I'm gonna say it right now, because if you go out there and you look at how this election started, you had a candidate that nobody outside the state really knew. You had a candidate that started with nothing. You had a candidate that was in a different area that he shouldn't have never got the popularity that he got. He shouldn't have had the money to do it. Because if you look, and I said this before, and I'm going to say it one more time, and I'm going to keep repeating it every time that I come on, and I'm probably going to say it tomorrow. But I need to get this out there. If you look at how a candidate ran their race for a state race, you look at the money that was behind them just for the state race, and then you compare it to what got behind them after that, something just don't line up. It just don't make sense. It really doesn't make sense if you look at it as a whole. And I see a lot of people out there. I got to explain this like this. I see a lot of people out there bragging on what's going on. You think they're talking to you. You think they're sharing information with you, but they're not. What they're doing is basically setting themselves up for the next election to come along, and they need somebody that's going to win. They need somebody that sees what they did here, and and what they're doing is selling themselves to the next candidate that's out there. I'm gonna tell you something about me. I I voted for Jasmine Crockett, and I don't want any of y'all to get this misconstrued. And I can't tell you what to do with your vote, but I can tell you what I'm gonna do with mine. And I don't care what the Democratic Party have to say, because if you was behind the right candidate, I would have supported you all the way. But here's what I'm gonna do with mine. I ain't voting for Tallarico. I'm gonna tell you straight, and people gonna say, "Well, yeah, you know, you're gonna, you know, it comes a point in time, just like they took the initiative to close to shut Jasmine Crockett down. They took the initiative to go behind the procedures. They took the initiative just to jump so far behind this guy because they thought he was a likely candidate to win. Well, I'm gonna tell you, he might not win. There's a lot of people that you figured that was behind Jasmine Crockett that may not vote just like me for him. I vote in every other thing down the line, but I guarantee you I won't put one single mark on his name. And he's the perfect candidate. He's the perfect candidate, but it just wasn't his time. They had to make it his time. They had to model him to be the person that he is. And see, I don't. If you, it's almost like being in a situation where you're going out playing with cars, and your car may not be a Ferrari, but you jump up and you put some stuff on your car. You maybe put an elf and some other stuff on your car, thinking that it's a Ferrari. That doesn't make it. That don't sell with me. It never will sell with me. It never will sell with me. But see, you have to pay attention to sources that's put in front of you. And I'm going somewhere with this because I need you, and I'm gonna say it. I don't care if Jasmine Crockett came straight to my face right now. I don't care if Kamala Harris, because they jump ship so fast that I don't even think they know what they're doing. Because just like Kamala, I'm sorry, I got this. It's the truth. Just like Kamala jumped on at the last 3 or 4 days and jumped in and supported Jasmine Crockett, she jumped in and supported James Tarico soon as Kamala lost. See, that's I can't do it. I just can't do it. It don't feel right. It don't. I hear people out there and they're frustrated, but for me, it don't feel right. It don't look right. It don't. I can't do that. You can't jump ship because somebody else has won the race. You got to look at the reasons why they won. And you know, I'm leading into this, and I don't want to hold y'all too long, but I want to show you. I want to give you a thought process and let you kind of make your own decisions. That's all we do here. I put the information out. I don't want to tell you which way to vote, up, left, or right. Whichever way you decide to vote is on you. But I can tell you what I'm not doing, and that's what I did. So I want to do this real quick because I want you to hear this because it's going to set up everything that I have coming up after then. See, I'm going to tell you how they feel about your vote and what happens. You know, this particular person that I'm bringing up, you probably, if you pay any attention to the media, you've seen this video. But I'm bringing them up to show you how certain people in certain organizations, they brag. It wasn't the result of the election that I was concerned about. It wasn't the result of the election that I was concerned about, but it's how these people get a chance to brag because they set the vote up for failure, and they knew they tried to set up the outcome before it was put in place. So I'm gonna play this. This ain't nothing against what he do, but you need to hear the bragging part. You need to hear how he brags about what he did. And it's not meant for you. It's meant for any other candidate that wants to go out there and get the Hispanic vote, the Latino vote. I'm the one that you have to come to. If you take it in that pretext, he didn't care about Jasmine Crockett. He may have mentioned her, but what he was gloating about was how he pulled the Latino vote. See, Jasmine, I'm gonna set this a little bit before I bring him up. I'm gonna tell you about a couple of things that went on. See, Jasmine didn't go to no soccer games. See, Jasmine probably didn't go to no Latino media. See, Jasmine didn't. It's some of the things that she didn't do that this guy put in play. But see, the reason why I say it's wrong is because you got a national media candidate that lost to a nobody. And maybe everybody else ain't gonna say it. You got a national media candidate that lost to a nobody. She had, if it was a fair race, take out all this extra stuff between that we're gonna show, that I'm gonna show you today, and what we're gonna do on our Tuesday show. Take out all the extra stuff and tell me she couldn't win. She couldn't have won. Because she brought everything to the table. She brought him to the table, so to speak, because of her name, who she was, and what she stood on. You see, people get caught up in how a person delivers a message. But I'd rather get caught up in how a person delivers a message than get caught up in somebody that's not speaking up, somebody's just gonna go along to get along. Because then they're not working for you. They're working for the party. I don't need nobody that works for the party. And see, it's one thing about the pure person I'm getting ready to bring up. He don't have to worry about coming on my show. I don't have to be concerned about what he's doing on other medias, because I'm not, down the road, I might not. He probably won't even come on a little bit podcast like mine. And I'm saying that up front because a lot of people know what's going on behind the scenes, but they're not telling you the absolute truth. They telling you, oh, she lost. They throwing you up numbers. They saying the numbers didn't make her win. Well, the numbers didn't make her win, but what else didn't make her win? What else? Throw your buddies up under the bus. Don't have a podcast sitting out here. Don't have a podcast or any type of media and social media, and you scared to tell the truth about what's going on today. You scared to tell the truth because down the road I might have to. I might have to go back and interview this guy. But I know what's going on. See, I'm not constrained by that. I put it out. If you want to hear it, you're welcome to it. If you don't want to hear it, that's fine. It don't make a difference with me. But you need to know what's going on behind the scenes so you can understand. And Jasmine got ripped on this one. I'm gonna say it, and wasn't ripped in a illegal manner because I can't prove that. But she got ripped right in front of our faces, and I'm gonna go into this because I need to get. I want you to look at this video, and it's gonna kind of set the stage for where I'm going. Just check it out. I'm gonna let it play in its entirety. And then I'm only gonna play 2 videos today, so I just want you to know. Just kind of check this one out.
On election night, watching results came in, and then last night was another crazy one. Before I head to the airport to get back to DC, I need to tell you how this happened. It starts with the candidate. James Tallarico is a special candidate, and I take nothing away from Jasmine Crockett, who ran an incredible race.
James Tallarico was a planned candidate, a plant set up by certain peoples within the organization. He was set up to win this race. And you need to know that part, because if you look at it, he was too perfect of a candidate. He was too perfect of a candidate. When I say perfect, they set him up where he was straight, narrow line. But as we get into this video, you know me, I like to set the table, and then I'm gonna bring everything else behind it. I need you to listen to the rest of this video, because basically what you're doing is bragging. about what just happened.
Tip to her and her team. Hat tip to her and her team this morning. I love to see the unity and her coming together. We're going to win in November. We're going to beat the Republicans. But James Tallarico ran the right.
Not with my vote. You're not. I'm just telling you up front. I don't. It don't make no sense, because if you go out there and I'm not telling people how to vote, but I can tell you, if you set up a guy in this position to win, and what it does to me, what it brings into question is how many other times have we been set up to vote? See, I hate these words coming from anybody. If you don't vote for if you don't vote for this person that we got in front of you, it's a vote for the other side. Well, I'm gonna tell you, you might as well call my vote for the other side, because you can line it up. It ain't gonna be nothing put in my ballot on that when I see Tallarico down there. I'm definitely not voting Republican, but I'm not voting for him in any kind of way. And if you're American, you can go out there and do it. But the way that they set this guy up, I want to set him up the same way that they set me and anybody else that went out to vote for the best candidate that was out there. I want to set them up just like y'all did. Y'all did all this planning behind the scenes. You went out of your way to set this up. And everybody knows it that's in politics, because if you've been in politics any amount of time, when you see certain people come into different areas, you know what's going on. They can't say it, but I'll say it. I want to go into this because I need. It's going to lead into something else. This show, I'm just telling you ahead of time. This show is leading into tomorrow, and trust me, it's going to all tie together tomorrow. Our show tomorrow is man, it's going to be a doozy, as they say. But just let's finish this off so we can go somewhere with this.
Kind of race at the right time. He also had an amazing staff. Seth, his manager, assembled a great crew, and they did an outstanding job. Gina Hinojosa, that's the Tallarico Gina Hinojosa, and JT on the press team, that whole crew.
Gina Hinojosa and JT on the press team had nothing to really do with this election. The people that had something to do with this, with him winning, was the people like Chuck Roter that came into the scene. It was the PACs that brought in money behind the scenes, because he didn't have the funds to do what they achieved on this. He didn't have the insight. I'm gonna call a few names. He didn't have the insight to get into any major show that was out there that he got into, because they didn't know him. These type of people introduced him to wherever he went to. Because if he would have ran a straight up race out of Texas and not been painted as this perfect candidate, Jasmine would have won this hands down. She turned out the vote. But because of what they did behind the scenes, how they did it, it makes a difference. And it's going to all tie back together. You know me. I'm going to try to let this play all the way through, because I'm going somewhere, and I don't want to leave you hanging.
Just work day and night, and me getting to spend some time with them and see the energy on the ground really made a difference. But how did he win? He won because he showed up in communities. He ran advertising in those communities. He had an amazing field team with 28,000 volunteers, over 600 community events.
Pay attention to what he just got through saying. 28,000 volunteers. 28,000 volunteers. I'm not saying that ain't true. But what I need you to do is go out and research 28,000 volunteers. I'm going to say it one more time, because in the military, they say we have to say it 2 or 3 times. 28,000 volunteers. What gets him in front of those 28,000 volunteers? We're going to find out. Let's go.
In just 8 weeks, they sent over 4 million peer-to-peer texts, like grassroots organizing combined with paid advertising in digital, TV, radio, around sporting events, and
Now, I'm going to tell you a scenario, and you can judge it for yourself. I'm going to tell you a scenario, and you be the judge for yourself. I'm running for office. I'm the best qualified candidate. I could barely keep my lights on in the office where I'm running for candidate. I set up my office. I get in there. I can barely keep my lights on, trying to keep the water on so I can keep the volunteers within my office. I'm trying to buy signs and all the rest of it. I'm trying to solicit these $5 and $10 donations so I can go out and reach the public. That makes sense, don't it? That sounds like what every normal person should do, right? That sounds like if I'm out there or Jasmine's out there, or let me get some of this stuff off the stage, but if Jasmine's out there, it sounds like the right thing to do. It looks good on paper. Let me just say that. It looks good on paper, but it ain't always the case, because people put out what they want to say. Grassroots make you sound like you did a lot of stuff. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. They can fool you with that too. They can fool you with that because, see, grassroots don't get you on the main stage. Grassroots don't put out information across the whole media sources out there. Grassroots don't do that. Just letting you know, it doesn't do that. And I think I didn't forget how many counties we have in the state of Texas, but I'd be curious. I would be, not for anybody else, but just for me, I would be curious in how many places did he go into? How many places did he actually go out and knock the doors on? I'm just curious about that part because they give him a whole lot of credit. I'm gonna take some of this off the stage. Y'all know we come on Tuesday nights at 7:30. I invite you to come out next week. I'm gonna take that off the stage. But I need you to just follow the whole thing, because when you follow it, you get upset, just like me. Politics is, I'm telling you, it's brutal. It's brutal because they start off with something and then they don't follow through with it. I say this a couple of times. I'm acting like a Baptist preacher because I say I'm almost through with this. I'm almost through with this, but I'm gonna go just a little bit further because I want to break this down so we can kind of understand.
You how this happened. It starts with the candidate. James Tallarico is a special candidate, and I take nothing away from Jasmine Crockett, who ran an incredible race. You know, hat tip to her and her team. Hat tip to her and her team this morning. I love to see the unity and her coming together. We're going to win in November. We're going to beat the Republicans. But James Tallarico ran the right kind of race at the right time. He also had an amazing staff. Seth, his manager, assembled a great crew, and they did an outstanding job. Gina Hinojosa, that's the Tallarico Gina Hinojosa, and JT on the press team, that whole crew just worked day and night, and me getting to spend some time with them and see the energy on the ground really made some difference. But how did he win? He won because he showed up in communities. He ran advertising in those communities. He had an amazing field team with 28,000 volunteers, over 600 community events in just 8 weeks. They sent over 4 million peer-to-peer texts, like grassroots organizing combined with paid advertising in digital, TV, radio, around sporting events, and a robust Latino advertising campaign in Spanish, in English, but a lot of Spanish advertising, a lot of advertising in the Valley. I'm going to write more about this later, but there's a reason why James won last night, because he had the full effect of a great team, a great message. He's a great candidate, and he assembled the right folks to actually get it done. There's going to be a lot written about the Latino vote and the strength of the Latino vote, and are Latinos moving back to the left? Well, last night proved one thing for damn sure. They will move back for James Tallarico if you show up and give them a hopeful message. I'll talk to y'all in a little bit. I'm going to go get on an airplane. I love you all. Thank you for all the love and all the text and all the things this morning. I'm super.
See, you gotta open up your mind, and I'm gonna ask you to just kind of go with me for just a little bit here. It's a couple of things that he said. Perfect candidate. I'm getting on an airplane and I'm getting out of here. If you was just if you just want to pay attention to the election results, If you was just a non-participant in what happened, if you was just a non-participant in what happened, you know what you would have said? Hey, I watched this from DC, or I watched this from wherever I'm at, and man, I was amazed at what they did in Texas. So you don't show up on the air with a Tallarica shirt on the next day. You don't show up with saying I'm leaving out of here right now. You don't do that. See, you personally came here to get involved in this, to make sure everything, and it started a long time ago. It started a long time ago. I got one more video, but I'm not gonna play it because I need to get into the reason why I got this video on. You know, a lot of times when you hear about these elite schools, Ivy League schools, and all these people that's attending them, I'm not saying that they don't deserve to be there. They deserve all the accolades that they can get. But sometimes those schools expose you to something that continues to carry on after you leave them. And they come out and they try to persuade people to do certain things when they get word of somebody that maybe graduated from their school. They end up promoting that person. They you know, I gotta reach out. I gotta do certain things to, you know, he came out of the school that I went to. He attended the school that I went to. And maybe it was a little bit different. Maybe somebody from the school reached out to you and just dropped a hint. You know, this certain person, he graduated from our school, and you know, Ivy League, and I think that we can line them up, and I'll sell them to you. And you know what? And I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but you know, I'm in a position. I did this before, and I know what it's going to take for this person to get ahead. And I feel, yeah. Let me dig into this and do a little research, and let me come up with somebody that I think that can help you achieve what you're trying to achieve. Because I have the contacts to do it, but I need to make sure that I can get them on board. And you go out and you do your own research. I'm just telling you, go out and do your own research, because you've been down that road, you did certain things, you track, you had time to just set it up. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Every candidate has their could run a race any kind of way that they want to. Every candidate can sell their self, and that's what it's about, selling yourself to your voters. But when you get involved with it, you have to be at a point where you not only selling yourself to your voters, you're selling yourself to the truth that you bring to the table. See, you can't skirt around the truth. You can't go around the truth. The truth is there. See, if it gave me an unfair advantage to run this race over somebody else, if I'm that person that's religious, if I'm that person that understand the word, if it gives me an unfair advantage and all these people coming at me, I need to say, hey, wait a minute, hold up. This sounds like it's giving me an advantage over everybody else. This is not the race that I want to run. If I can't run on my own merits, I don't deserve to be here. I'm going somewhere with this. See, go out there and find out the number breakdowns. I can go with that, but it's the behind the scenes stuff that sets up people to succeed. And we don't get a chance to see that part, because see, I don't want to take away from tomorrow, so I'm not going down that road, that rabbit hole, but I'm gonna go down this rabbit hole. You know, I came across an online comment that was made on my made on the last show that I did. And they talked about this well-educated person, how he had achieved all this stuff, and he was he got his teacher's degree from, and he was just on top of everything. I don't have no problem with that. That's good. I'm glad you went to college, and I'm glad you got your teacher's degree. I'm glad that you're doing certain things that make people say, "Ah, that's great." You don't see people out there. The person that wrote this wasn't trying to make a political statement. They were just trying to expose anything that they were just trying to defend their candidate that they liked. But they made one comment, and you always have to pay attention to that one detail, because that one detail can tell you a lot. Just like that last video. See, the race that Jasmine Crockett won wasn't fair. It wasn't laid out fair. It wasn't nowhere near what it should have been. The fairness wasn't there. Yeah, voters got a chance to go in, but voters got a chance to be deceived too. See, what they did in her county up there was just one part of it. But what was done as a whole is just unreal, because normal everyday people like myself and yourself and people that go out to vote, they think, I hit the ballot box, man, I'm in there. Man, my candidate gonna win. I look at the lines and I look at the people that's voting. I say, oh man, they gonna win. You get your hopes up and you all going and you got your fraternity colors on. You know who you represent, and you just there. But let me tell you something about how people are set up to fail. Money. And other people won't talk about money. Money makes a difference, a big difference in a campaign. How you get it makes a big difference in a campaign. Who the money comes from makes a big difference in a campaign. So I'm just telling you, again, if I'm this certain person, I'm out there, I'm running for office, I don't break boundaries. There's certain boundaries that I can't break and still call myself a real candidate for office. Because if I break those boundaries, that means that I just basically lied to your face to get what I want. And that's what you got to realize, that when people are lying to you, it ain't really nothing that you can say after the election's over with. And I have to say, this thing right here, this election cycle and how it went, and everybody's trying to get you to point at the numbers and all the rest of that, but some behind the scenes stuff that they don't mention that you should know about. And I'm getting somewhere. I'm going somewhere. See, the commentator that was leaving the message, he didn't say anything about his policy. He didn't say anything about knowing Tallarico's policies. He didn't say anything about knowing his record. They didn't say anything about knowing his character. They used one word to describe him. One word. And I told you I'm going somewhere. They say one word. They say this word, Harvard. He graduated from Harvard. May not mean nothing to you. Yeah, that's a great institution. But if you read the title, the Ivy League Edge, not the education, but the network after you leave school. The network. See, because if you go out there and Google, I want you to go out there and Google this for yourself. After I make this point, I want you to go out there and Google this for yourself. The power. I want you to go out there and Google it. I'm not going to spill it right now. The power of elite networks. See, when you graduate from an institution like Harvard, go on to see how many candidates went into politics. They graduated from Harvard. Go out there and see how many judges are across the nation that graduated from Harvard. Go out there and see the power of that pipeline. See, that power starts long before those signs go up in the yard, which everybody is saying that they didn't see. It's some things that's put in place behind the scenes that people just didn't see. See, Harvard kind of, and I'm calling it Harvard. Don't just. But I'm focusing on this point for a reason. There's other Ivy League schools out there, but today I'm just focusing on Harvard. I'm just focusing on Harvard. I'm just letting it gives you credibility when you say you graduated. It gives you access. It gives you a network that follows you for life. Nothing wrong with that. You chose the school, you went there, you stayed in school, you graduated, you did everything that you were supposed to do. You punched the right tickets, you did, man, you just blew everybody away. I just want to say, I'm not talking about the university. And whether we admit it or not, voters respond to that. Even people who have set a foot on that campus feel like the weight of that name carries you a certain place. It shapes how they see candidates because he graduated from Harvard. It shapes how they interpret your intelligence because you went to a place. I got to get myself back on the stage. Got to get myself back on the stage before I lose. You went to a certain place. You went to class. You did everything. You participated. You followed through on everything that you was doing, and that's great. That's great. So today we're going to talk about the Harvard effect. Not as a, we're going to talk about this not as a conspiracy, but as a system, and I'm saying that so you can get it, a system that's put into place where elite institutions create pipelines into political power. Create pipelines into political power because of where you went, who you went to, where you went, who you knew, the people that you met around you, and how you can use that to your advantage. See, if you got a perfect candidate, how did that candidate come about? That's one of the questions. How did he get to the guys like Chuck Rocher that I just had on? How did he get there? Jasmine Crockett, if the tables would turn, I could understand how she got there. I'm being honest with you. I could understand how she got there because she was a national media candidate. Pretty much everybody knew who she was. They could follow her. She had a couple of incidents that happened with your girl Marjorie Taylor Greene that got on the national medias. She sit down with the right people that want to talk to her, and because of what she said, the bad body bleach blonde person and all of that, and she stayed on Congress and she confused everybody that was up there. I could understand that. I could go with that if it was from Jasmine Crockett. But for a person that wasn't nobody, it's like it was a vendetta against this person that had all this talent, but she expressed herself in a way that you didn't like it. She expressed herself in a way that you couldn't relate to. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. We've been expressing ourselves in a way that you didn't like it for a long time. Because if we didn't express our way in the way that we do or the way that we act, you probably wouldn't pay attention to us. You wouldn't look at us the same way. But see, every single time, and Kamala was a victim of this, every single time a black woman opens up their mouth and say something against where you're going, you want to chop her off at the legs, so you want to work behind the scenes. But here's the part that gets me. You're scared to come in the front and scared to come out front and lay it out. You know what? You like to hide behind the scenes. And it's that hide behind the scenes that I don't like. It's that hide behind the everything that's going on. Even this money situation. And we're going to get into the PACs tomorrow. I'm going to tell you Some people going to be upset tomorrow. Some people might be upset today because I'm going to lead you into this for tomorrow. I'm leading you down this path, and if you want to pay attention, you're going to learn something today. And you're going to see what I'm talking about. I'm going to wrap this up in a way in a pretty bow because we're going to lead in tomorrow with the same thing. Not the same thing, but we're going to go into the power behind candidates. The power behind candidates is what it should be called. Because candidate don't mean nothing if they ain't got this power behind it. A system where one word on a resume can tilt the perception of a person that's in front of you. Harvard and any other Ivy League school. They look at you a little bit different when you done graduated from Harvard. Just think about it. They give you some credibility that you probably shouldn't have. They give you some doors. It opens some doors that it probably shouldn't open. But it also builds some relationships that, that can promote you, get you to a certain point, can elevate you by putting you into contact with people that you never should have been in contact with in the first place. I want to pause because I notice that when people pause, they take they thoughts and put them together. Because when a random comment comes online and it wakes you up, he went to Harvard. That's why he won. That tells you something. That it tells you that voters aren't just, you don't get a chance to choose a candidate. It's whatever people build up, like Chuck Rocher. The money that follows Chuck Rocher. See, and grassroots, I don't even know if I want to do this, but I'm gonna set you up for tomorrow. Anytime somebody donates $500,000 to your campaign, that's not grassroots any longer. Remember what he said? They had a good ground game. Remember what he said? He had good media coverage. He went out there and he did certain things. You remember what we said in the show back? $2.5 million was raised in 24 hours. COVID. You can go out and research it for yourself. Is that a grassroots campaign? If that's grassroots, let me share this with you. If that's grassroots, come. I want to be grassroots too. Because that sounds as close to winning the lottery is for a candidate as you can get. Because if you don't have the money to get out there and put it into your campaign, if you don't have the people to get behind you to put all that in your campaign, you ain't going nowhere. You can go out there and spend your own money on your own office and put a sign right there on that curb. See, we didn't know who the third Democratic candidate was. Didn't nobody invest any money in him. He didn't get the grassroots. He didn't get all that. We don't know who he was. And they're not even talking about him. He don't even come up in the media. You know why? Because he ran his own race. He ran a race. And I'm going to tell you, if you think about it, Tallarico's numbers, based on what I'm seeing, should have been the numbers somewhere halfway in between that third candidate and Jasmine Crockett. I'm just saying, think about it. Go out and see how many voters voted for him when he was just running for his office in that little area that he's from. Go out there and see what his numbers was. There ain't nothing I can say. I'm putting it out there. Most of y'all ain't paying attention, I guess. But if we're going to talk about democracy, honesty, and you want to proclaim that you believe in God and all the rest of this, and you want to talk about how you wouldn't take money from PACs and all the rest of that, and you wouldn't do this. But if you go out and follow the paper trail, you follow the paper trail. I'm just putting the information out there. If you go out and follow the paper trail, you'll see it was more than money taken from grassroots organization. You'll see that it was. See, you don't just walk into media, mainstream media. Now you might walk. Now I'm gonna make it easy for you. You might walk into your local radio station and they want to give you some publicity and they want you to come on their radio, AM station, and we don't. I'm just telling you. But you don't walk into a major network or a FM station or major people that's out there in the media that's got good social media following and all the rest of that. You don't get into those organizations because you don't have the, I'm going to spell it out to you, MONEY to get there. And they don't come from grassroots. Don't get it twisted. Them signs, them advertisements, and picking and choosing, knowing the demographics from where you could get the most voters and all the rest of that, don't come. When you run in your state campaign, it comes in, but most of it you have to pay for. Go back and research how much money this smart person from Harvard had in this campaign the first time. See if it's SEC filings. Say it. See if his filings match what he was able to do when he was running against Jasmine Crockett. Something don't line up. Something don't line up. And see, as voters, most people just go in the polling booth and they vote. You know, what the comment says on the surface is this. What the comment says on the surface is this. He has a degree in education from Harvard. He's extremely intelligent. Can't take that away. He had a better strategy than Jasmine because he had all that extra help. He had more time. Jasmine announced that she was running maybe a little bit later. They're saying that she had a poor strategy because it was not enough time. But I don't think that's the reason why she lost. I don't think that's the reason why she lost. The common defense is focusing on candidates' credentials, intelligence, campaign logistics. I'm trying to get this because I don't want to miss any points, and I'm trying to go somewhere with this, but I want to take y'all with me. And see, in order for me to take you with me, I have to make sure that I'm on point. This is a common type of political defense, focusing on credentials, intelligence, and campaign logistics. But underneath, there's a bigger story that most people don't even pay attention to. What the comment accidentally revealed without realizing is the commentary is pointing to the Harvard credential as a major factor. This is exactly the pattern that most people are talking about. They're not talking about this. They want you to run to the numbers. Remember? They want you to run to the numbers. Go to the numbers. It tells the whole story. That's what he did. They steer you in a direction to not go to the truth of the matter. Harvard, it gave him credibility. It gave him access. Harvard gave him networks in which he could network within and get something that the normal person wouldn't have got. Harvard set him up early to succeed. I'm just saying. Harvard set him up to succeed in ways that don't show up on books. In ways that don't show up on books. I'm leaning forward because I'm trying to get this. I try to stay within that. I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm investing a little bit more time, and I want to make sure that I get this point across. That belief don't come from nowhere. It comes from decades of Ivy League influence and shaping public perception. And you ask me how? I can show you how. How this ties directly into this episode. You know, when we choose our leaders, you think that you go into the voting booth and you choosing your leaders, or choosing from let me just say this: you think that you just go out there and you go with the candidate that's out there, and you think that, hey, I'm voting for the best candidate. I see Jasmine Crockett. She, I know what she did. I see her on TV. I see that she's fighting up in Congress. She's flying back and forth from Texas. She's going to Congress. She's not missing any meetings. She sits on committees that's up there. She don't want to miss that committee. She don't want to do any of that. But I see her doing that. So if you're basing your decision on something that's real, you can see that. You've seen it because they covered it in social media and on the news. But one thing I want to get back to this Harvard thing, because it's going to tie all back together. One word, was that word good enough to convince the candidate? Or was it the network behind him that got him to where he is? I'm about to lose Instagram, so I can go into the rest of this, but I want to go into get my point out. The comment reflects several deeper thoughts, and I'm gonna tell you, I had to think about it because it just stopped me in my track. It froze me in my tracks. See that network that they talking about? It ain't got nothing to do with Harvard. It ain't got nothing to do with Ivy League school. It ain't got nothing to do with the comment that the guy made. But what it does do, and I'm not trying to tie this into a knot and say that something was done illegal. I'm not saying that's against the law. But when you take a person and you try to mold them into what voters think, and you set up narratives for that person to follow, and you shape the political culture of this person and the networks that this person is able to come in contact with, the public perception that's engineered politics. That ain't grassroots. That's engineered politics. See, I want to go back to that word, but I need to say this. This lets you tie directly into larger conversations about who you are. It lets you get into places that you normally wouldn't get into. Ivy League pipelines, political, you get a chance to sell. You sold by the people because they already knew that you went to the institution, and they want to put their name out there because they want people to know how influential they are in molding and getting the right candidate in place. See, so it was an invisible primary that was going on while we were sitting here thinking that this was a primary. Now the primary was set up for us to see it the way we wanted it. Now the person that wrote that wasn't trying. I'm gonna say this: he wasn't trying to make a political statement, but they were trying to sell you something that made this person a little bit better than the person that was there. So I got about probably about, I want to say about 9, I'll say 6 minutes to get this across on Instagram. So as I get this across, I want you to think about this. He graduated from Harvard. Who else that you can Google, that if you put the two names together, that you can Google, and they say they never had contact with each other? They never had contact with each other. They never had contact with each other. They never seen each other. They never knew anything about each other. But if you tie it all back together, they graduated at different years. But that network that I'm telling you about, That network that I'm telling you about, Harvard, 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 and this and I'm gonna tie it back to you. We're gonna talk about the Harvard effect, not the conspiracy, but as a system. And that's about all Ivy League schools where the elite institution create a pipeline into political power, a system where networks matter much as ideas or thoughts or what you want to be. A system where one word on a resume can tilt it. You heard those words before. He went to Harvard. That's why you won. That tells you something. It tells you that voters aren't just choosing candidates. They're responding to what's out there. They're responding to what the media is. If you're going to talk about the democracy and honesty in your campaign and how you went to seminary school and all the rest of that, you better talk about what was your first, how you got to where you are. See, it's a lot of things that in his campaign that's not totally correct, and y'all keep voting on it. Y'all keep running out there voting on what's out there. If you want, man, we just gotta face some facts. And I ain't even said it yet. I ain't even said it, but I'm gonna say it right now. It is another person out there that went to Harvard, and he has the voting power or the power to put him in touch with people that can change his narrative in a matter of seconds, like Chuck that was just on. He can change his perspective just by that, just by knowing who he is. They can change the outlook. That's just one of the people. See, but then you have to be able to put more than some grassroots money behind them too. Maybe I need to say this 2 times so you can understand. You need to be able to put more than some grassroots money behind him in order for him to excel past a national candidate that's out there. You have to put more than grassroots money behind him, because that grassroots money don't buy you media. That grassroots money don't buy you, get you into the next cycle, news media cycle, or get you in front of people. That it's so many things that grassroots money don't do. You remember what I told you? You go into office, in the state offices, you're barely keeping the lights on, you're barely keeping the water running, you're barely keeping the electric bill on. Those red notices are showing up, but you manage to pay them as you get more money in. I imagine that James Tallarico was in that same boat. But in this election cycle, he wasn't. He wasn't. And he called out those other 2 names. I wish I could remember them. But I guarantee you, if you walked around the block in Washington, D.C. or anywhere, I bet you they wouldn't recognize those names. That worked his local campaign, that they give so much credit to, that they lay out they ran an excellent organization, but they didn't run it without you guys getting involved in it. They didn't run it without the money that came into it. They didn't do that. Don't think that they did. Don't even get that. Don't even think or believe that they did. And the person, and let me tell you, I'm not pointing no fingers. I'm not saying that this is true, but you heard me say network. Now I'm gonna call 2 names that's never in the same sentence: Tallarico and President Obama. Tallarico, James Tallarico, and President Obama. Find out go out there and research it. I'm gonna put it out, but find out where both of them graduated. Check out those networks that's out there. Check out that tape that come out 4 months earlier. How did he know about it? I'm just curious. I want to know too. I want him to come out and say, how did he know about Tallarico? Because he wasn't that big of a candidate before then. Network, Harvard, Tallarico, and President Obama. You know, I put the name out there, but I want to say this. Sometimes when you done ran your race, the only thing that can mess up where you at right now, the only thing that can mess up you not riding off into the sunset is you need to let go. You need to let go and focus somewhere else. See, I love to see you show up at a basketball game and shoot the basketball. I love to see you doing those events where you come out in public and you may be picking up a baby or two. I love to see those events of you doing that. But if you dipping back into politics, changing the narrative, I have a problem with that. You done ran your race. It's time for you to sit down. Sit down. You can't, according to the law, you can't run for president again, but it ain't no use in you steering the election cycle unless there's something out there, unless you got involved at the last at the other part of it. The upcoming votes where the candidates are actually running against a Republican and Democrat, where that network came and got involved in this thing at the beginning. Because your speech, now I'm gonna tell you about connecting dots. I'm not, I can't bring a great speech, but there's too many other ways that we can connect the dots. And one of the other comments that was in my comments, I researched that tape, and it was made 4 months before Jasmine Crockett even got in the race. 4 months. I can go with that. I'm good with that. But that Harvard network, James Tallarico, and President Obama, something just ain't right. Something just ain't. Go out, do it. Do what I did when I seen it in the comment. I paused and I said, oh man, I need to go out there and see if this is right. I Google it. The build up, and I'm not, and trust me, ain't nothing illegal with that. Ain't nothing illegal with going to the same school. Ain't nothing, but it is kind of suspect. Because here's a guy that didn't have anything going, had other than being a state representative and graduating from an elite school, but he beat a national candidate. You're right, Chuck. We should be bragging on that because he beat a national candidate. Somebody had national media exposure that was on every show, every time. If you went into social medias, everybody was promoting them. But he had a leg up that she didn't have. And it wasn't just grassroots money. It wasn't just the organization that was here in Texas, because if it was just the organization here in Texas that got her to where she is right now, why did you show up? Why were you leaving with a Tallarico shirt on, telling your counterparts that do the same thing that you do out there? Why were you telling them, hey, I got this one. I won. I took this across the finish line. Y'all just don't know. And ain't no paperwork to come back to those packs. Because they just did it for the goodness of their heart. They just participated. They just bought them commercials for the goodness of their heart. They was trying to do the right thing by the right person. That's all they're going to sell you on. But think about it. You follow the breadcrumbs, you eventually find out the truth. I'm going to say it so you can understand. Harvard, James Tallarico, President Obama. PAC money. PAC money. And I'm telling you, even the stuff and even the stuff that happened in Dallas about the voting. And see, that might have been the other side. See, but no, they don't want to hear. They don't want you to put that out. No, they don't want. They don't. Oh no, we don't touch. We don't get involved in. We don't get involved in that. That's if you say something about it, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're totally wrong. They gonna deny it to its fullest. But how did it happen? How did he get his name out there? I know I'm repeating myself, but that's what a podcast is for. To put information out there in front of you and let you make your own decision. Before I get out of here, I want to do this because I do this show every Tuesday night. It's called Two Gents Podcast. You see it scrolling across the screen right now. Every Tuesday night at 7:30 CST time, Central Standard Time, 1930 for military people. But I do this show then, and it's me and two other hosts. One is a elected official out of Louisiana, and the other one is a pastor. But he teaches history, and he can bring it. Let me just say, he can bring it. Tomorrow when you come on the show, if you decide to listen, because I brought up some hard facts, and not everybody's gonna go with me because you have to formulate your own ideas. We don't tell you what to do, but I will tell you this: when I say I'm not voting for that guy, I'm not voting for him. I'm not voting for him at all. Not one time. When I see a name Tallarico, it's almost like it don't exist, because this is set up a person to almost lose when they should have been ahead. I wish that you could see the vote. Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett had the most votes. Tallarico had more votes than Jasmine Crockett, but she had more votes than any of the Republican candidates that was out there. Now think about what I just said. She had more votes than any of the other candidates that was out there, Republican candidates, an incumbent senator, and a state power, I think it was a attorney in Houston. I'm sorry, I'm at a loss for words, but she got more votes than those two people and lost. Something just ain't right. As I get ready to get out here, I want y'all to listen to one more thing. Now, I found out there on the internet, I told you I was going to only play 2 videos. Well, this is the second one coming up, and it's going to lead you into the show that we're doing tomorrow. You can find this stuff out for yourself, but if you don't have time, what we like to do is share it with you, reshare it, because some things are done out there on the internet that not everybody sees. So if you're watching this video, I'm gonna let it play in its entirety, and then I'm gonna come in and say goodbye, because I don't want to keep you on here long. But just listen to this.
Actually, wait, I can't see this. Hold on. Okay, that's better. I can't see shit without my glasses. Ignore the glare. So, this is a $500,000 donation made by the Lone Star Rising PAC, which is a super PAC, to James Tallarico on January 27th of 2026. And before we get out of here, I want you guys to take a look at the source information right here. You see that name? Reed Hoffman. Does that name sound familiar to you?
Oh, look, it's just a Jasmine Crockett supporter trying to put dirt on James Tallarico.
Here's the fucking filing. Here's the Schedule A for $500,000 to James Tallarico on January 27th of 2026. Isn't this the same Reed Hoffman that was in the Epstein files over 2,600 times before all these files started being removed? That guy, right? You remember him. Hey, Reed, look at you explaining your visits to the infamous private island, his New Mexico ranch, his New York apartment, all according to those emails that came from Jeffrey Epstein. You remember those? I know that they took him down, having a little bit of issues with this whole, cover-up situation. But yeah, that Reed Hoffman on January 27th donated to James Tallarico. So if you want to talk to me about electability, hey, James Tallarico, are you going to get rid of that $500,000? Are you going to give it back and denounce Reed Hoffman for all of the ties to Epstein's Island, according to Jeffrey Epstein's emails? Since it was a misunderstanding about the whole thing of you calling Colin Allred a mediocre black man. Hey, James, you gonna get that $500,000 back, buddy? Because $500,000 is a lot of money. That doesn't seem very electable to me. But, what do I know? I'm just a Jasmine Crockett supporter. And before I let you guys go, let's go ahead and chop off one of the excuses that I know the Tallarico campaign is going to use. On February 24th, he was speaking to KView, and he said, quote, I'm going to read from my screen now. He said, quote, those super PACs are not donating to our campaign. I legally can have no influence on an outside group, whether they're supporting me, whether they're against me, whether they're neutral in the race. All I have control over is my campaign. I'm the only candidate in this primary not taking corporate PAC money, end quote. You saw the Schedule A filing from Reid Hoffman, $500,000 on January 27th of 2026. And then this quote that I just read to you was made by Tallarico on February 24th of 2026. James Tallarico is lying to you. He's playing in your face. Peace.
You heard it for yourself. You didn't hear me say it. And that was sent to me from a real good source. I wish I could tell you, but I can't. I refuse to disclose who it came from. But I'm gonna tell you something. See, everything ain't what you think it is on this campaign. This guy didn't go from nobody to somebody. I think it's a song out there. It's a song out there that says that sings the same thing. You don't go from nobody to somebody all at the same time. And see that video? That's why I didn't interrupt you. I want you to hear from somebody else. And see, when you put dates, names, and times, if he was that person that you say he is, that money would have went back. That money would have went back. It's the source. Yeah, the guy got out there and said, oh, no, I was just a good friend. I didn't do it. But who else is saying they didn't do it? You want to connect the lines, dots. Connect the dots, lines and dots. Connect the dots to the lines to the dots. I think it sounds like Trump, right? I think it sounds like Trump. Oh, me and him was good friends, but I broke it off with him. This guy is in the records almost as many times as Trump, but you took money from him. Don't say you didn't, because it's right there. And I don't even know, that wasn't even probably part of the $2.5 million that you raised after you went on that show. I'm just putting it out there now. Whether or not y'all do something with it, or you believe me or not, go out there and research it for yourself. That's what we do here. We get information and we share it with our audience, and we ask you to become smarter voters. Smarter voters. So here's what I want you to here's something else I want you to do. I want you to tune in tomorrow night at Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. as we bring some more information to you that normal people don't get into. Normal people don't know what's going on behind the scenes when you wonder how come your candidate, the best candidate, you wonder how come that candidate doesn't win. Sometimes it's not about the candidate at all. It's about what they put in place, the machinery that this candidate is running against. I'm surprised she was that close with everything that he had access to, with everything that he did. He didn't run this campaign on his own. I wish, you know what? One of the last, I'm going to do one more show about this, but I'm not going to do it now. But I want to show you the district. I'm going to put up the numbers in the district that he came from. I'm going to put up the size of the district. And I want you just to look at it for yourself. That's all I'm asking. Don't take my word for it. But I'm not. I might try to do it tomorrow before we get into that show. But the show tomorrow is not just about Tallarico. It's about PACs. PACs. Always remember that name. PACS. PACs. That tomorrow, if you never heard that name and you never had opportunity to understand how much influence PACs have, tune in. Tune in. You're gonna learn some stuff. You're gonna learn some stuff. And some of it takes place in local elections too. Some of it takes place in local elections. You might have a good candidate. You think that they look good. They done went to the universities. They done participated in volunteer programs. They done showed up, kissed the babies, did everything that they should have done to get in the office. But then something happens. Something happens behind the scenes. Something happens behind the scenes. Good example. One good example. Hillary Clinton. I won't call her name because you need to know. About 2 weeks before the election, what came out? What came out? Structured. It's engineered. It's machinery. It's put in place. It's put in place by people that come back and brag about it to their counterparts because that's how they get their next job. Nothing that I've said is illegal. Nothing that I said is illegal. But the question that you should ask, was it under the table or above the table? Under the table or above the table? Was it put on the table? Just like that filing that he had to do when he gave that much money to that candidate? Was everything, some of the stuff that I told you tonight, under the table or above the table today? Was it under the table or above the table? Tomorrow, come join us. Come join us. We're going to sit down, and I'm not going to be the only commentary on the air. I'm going to be the one that's probably listening and formulate my own ideas like I'm doing right now. Join us tomorrow night, Two Gents Podcast, every Tuesday. Every Tuesday. Whew. I hope tomorrow's a good show because I'm going to tell you, this stuff right here, I put a different perspective on you. On every show that I do, I give honor to. And I know y'all got a new rule in church. I ain't with it. Where guys are walking in baseball caps and sitting down and I'm sorry, I was just raised in a different environment. And maybe it's just me, I'm just old. Baseball caps. Next thing you know, they're gonna be wearing do-rags in there. I'm just a little old. You see these gray hairs in my beard and in my facial hairs. Let me not say beard because some people say, no, you ain't got no beard, Ron. But in my facial hairs and the hairs on my head. But I ain't with that. In any kind of way. I don't want to take away from the show, but I want to say thank God for giving me the breath and the ability to have my own show. Because if it wasn't for that man up above, I would not be here. You know, one other thing, there's two other things I want to mention. On Wednesday nights, Pastor Riggins has his Bible study. Y'all need to go out there and listen to him. He'll be on the air tomorrow. He's going to tell you again tomorrow, just in case you forget. Pastor Riggins has his Bible study. Go out there and pay attention to it. I saw his church ceremony this weekend. I need to tell him. Amazing camera work. I was just blown away because I saw their brother in there. I can't think of his name when he starts his service, but nobody does it like him. When they start service, he gets the church fired up and everything. And then he has that excellent singer in the background. Y'all need to check out Pastor A.F. Riggins at his church on Sundays. He's a different type of guy than he is when he talk about politics. Check him out. With that being said, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you again. Thank you again for listening. If you tuned in, thank you. I enjoyed it. Goodbye. Y'all have a good day. Enjoy the rest of your day.